trying to get through this.
Easy to listen. I was able to do it.
Easy to dance.
I'm not a great lover of cats. That's my fear.
You're a disgrace, you are.
Not me. That's my fear.
You're a disgrace, you are.
Hello and welcome to One-on-One Shadowboxing. Today my guest is Dr. Mark Heinrich in second time. Mark, welcome back to One-on-One Shadowboxing.
Thanks, Tibor. Great to be back here again with you.
Great. Today we're going to have a different topic, not finance, not money anymore, no banks, but energy and water sustainability, because you are a global expert on sustainability, Mark.
Sustainability is my field, yes, Tibor. Yeah.
So which one is more important, energy or water?
Well, that's a question I haven't been asked before. But I think water is probably, the most critical resource that we have, or fresh water. Without water, we know we die very quickly. Water is a necessity. It's also become a commodity as well as a luxury. I think water is it's really the most important resource that we have.
Seems to me the United Nations once made a declaration of human rights, it was a long time ago, and they said you got the right for fresh water with no cost. And I don't think it's true anymore around the world.
Not in Perth where we live, no, that's for sure. Water will cost you almost $3 a kilolitre, plus you have to pay a pretty hefty connection charge. It used to be free up until the early 1980s. It was effectively free, although there was still a small connection charge. But
so what went wrong in the 1980s?
Well, what went wrong was actually during the after the 1950s, when we brought all of the tractors back from World War II.
Yes.
We had a large amount of immigration. We gave immigrants, people, land to clear, and what that did was it cut down the trees, and then because the trees were cut down, we didn't have as much moisture being pumped into the atmosphere, and we didn't have as much surface roughness, and when the clouds come across, they weren't being lifted as high, and we ended up with a large drop in rainfall that wasn't expected. So we continued to build dams at the same time as rainfall was declining without taking that into an account. That's right.
Of that, yeah.
That's right. And now we have global climate forcing, which is CO2 related, and that's reducing the rainfall that we have here further, and it's increasing they call water risk. So
got great reserves in Western Australia.
We do.
One of the world's greatest freshwater reserves.
That's right, and
we have to still pay through our nose for water.
That's
with that small population. We've got a growing population, but still a small population, and we still couldn't sustain ourselves with the water, or that's what the politicians telling us anyway. And it's not they're not going to solve the problem because they got other busy things to do in Parliament to debate. They don't give a shit about solving the problem of water. They just say, okay, you have to pay for it, we will pay for it because we think we have to drink. Because 80% of our body is from water, so we have to refresh it time to time, otherwise we're not going to function.
That's right.
So we're trapped in.
We're a little bit trapped, but we can, we can move out of the trap.
Yes.
One way.
That's what I wanted to hear from you. The good news.
That's the
Mark,
good news.
Please.
It's going to take a long time, but
yes.
But if we reforest
yes.
some of the coastal areas, we will increase, most likely increase the rainfall. Depends on what's happening with global climate change as well.
Yes.
But we can bring back some of that rainfall. As you mentioned, we also have around 1,000, maybe actually even more years worth of water at current rates in our aquifers. But getting back to the
yes.
water issue, we need to have a long-term plan. So effectively, the long-term plan would be to do some reforestation, bring back some cheaper water through the rainfall, which would also help the agriculture sector, also
yes.
help the farmers.
Great. Yes.
And do some and have some strategic reforestation, a strategic plan around water for the state, rather than just building new desalination plants.
And is that strategic plan for the reforestation exists somewhere? Someone draw a plan, or that's just so natural where we have to plan. So it's not too easy to figure it out, I assume.
It's it can be figured out, and that's ongoing research. But the Centre for Water Research had been looking at doing that.
Yes.
Then, and not only forest, but for example, in an urban environment, we can have fruit trees on the streets. Apple trees actually produce cloud seeding nuclei as well as eucalyptus trees. Then we can have a great urban green environment with less grocery bills.
After the water, energy. Energy is also very important, and it's all debates is going all around on energy and energy sources. The gas, the oil, the coal, and whatever you want, and the new, which is the sun, the waves, and the wind. And that's going on now 10 years or more, 20 years, and nothing has really changed except the energy prices, which are going up and up and up. What's happening? Why couldn't the world, not just Australia, look into seriously the energy, what we can access and how can we access it, and go for it? Everyone is against nuclear energy. I can understand some of the opposition against nuclear energy because of what's happened in Fukushima the last time with a very old technology, which was not even, permitted to build that time when they built it, but that's happened, and then the earthquake came. So any alternative nuclear energy sources you know about?
Well, thorium has been one of the energy sources which was researched during the 1950s, 1960s, and actually put into practice up until the 1980s. For example, Germany had a thorium nuclear reactor. Now, thorium doesn't have the same radioactivity that uranium has, and it's been looked at closely by Bill Gates, among others. One of his companies actually is looking into thorium reactors, and that's one safer nuclear alternative.
And what thorium is?
So thorium is a radioactive isotope. It is. It has been. It was named after the god of thunder, Thor, I believe, and it's also 3 times more available in the Earth's crust compared with tin or uranium. Thorium or thorium oxide has also been known about for around 100 years, and it was used in toothpaste as well back in the 1930s, 1940s as a new marketing effort to get people to use more radioactive material in their toothpaste.
Putting into the mouth.
Putting into the mouth.
And what was the benefit of that? Was anything, or just a marketing gimmick?
It was a marketing gimmick that would kill you effectively. Yes.
If you're really devoted to that and you are addicted to the thorium to eat.
That's right.
So why don't politicians want to have the thorium reactors to build? You said the Americans experimented with it, and I think it was a small American reactor as well until in function until '79 or something, and they stopped using it. And they said this German reactor was active as well. So what's happened? Why they stopped? What's the reason? What do you think?
Well, there could be several reasons. One reason is that it can't be used as readily in nuclear weapons. So,
so the benefit for the wars is not there.
So but that might be one reason why it hasn't been as progressed. Second reason is possibly because there were more nuclear reactors, it was easier to get financing for something that had been done before. Part of the financial system and the issues that we have related to that is that something that is done before, the risks
attract money,
and the risks are supposedly better known. Now, Fukushima is a classic example where that would have attracted funding, and the risks would have been known and highlighted, but no one thought of something that they didn't know about. So it's the classic unknown, effectively. Now, that's probably the second major reason. So that's why it takes someone like Bill Gates. That's why it takes someone like a company called Thor in Norway right now, and Norway has access to a lot of money through their through their $800 billion sovereign wealth fund. They have the financial capacity to take these sort of risks, which could end up in a huge reward for them, or people might end up using something else. And energy has progressed in terms of alternative energy, has progressed in quite a large extent worldwide. If you look at the solar panels on people's roofs, renewable energy including...
But you see, you got the solar energy in the time of the day when you not need it, and you couldn't really store it. So what's the use to waste the energy and collect the energy and then waste it when you couldn't use it because you couldn't... I mean, that's absurd. I mean, no one is talking about what's the practical use of solar energy. It could not be stored yet. They say it could not be stored, which is not true because you got these, batteries which can store it, but the government don't want to utilize those battery resources. So that's a conspiracy against the poor people who are installing the things on top of their roof, and it works nicely in Australia probably for 10 months in Perth at least, and you couldn't store it. So when you need it, when you're home, not working, then you're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, the storage has been the major issue for, as you point out, for that.
Any progress on that?
Well, I think the progress, or the real progress, is with electric vehicles. I think electric vehicles, first of all, electricity is the way to solve all these problems, rather than just using fossil fuels all the time for the transport. So with electric vehicles, the advantage are you've got the battery, so you can have the storage. You also have the smart grid system, so that you can do exactly what you're saying. So that can charge during the day, for example, in an office building or at home if you have one car left at home. Then during the night, you can use that stored energy. And if you know how far it is to drive to work, then your battery can plan for you how much energy it needs to get to work. So electric vehicles, they also have the other advantage of not producing local vehicle emissions, and they're known carcinogens. So for example, diesel is a known carcinogen recently added to the World Health Organization carcinogenic list.
Which is more dangerous than all the others.
That's
combined.
right. So if you live within 100 meters of a major road, so talking 20,000 vehicles a day, then it's equivalent to smoking half a packet of cigarettes every day.
Mark, on that note, we're going to a short break and coming back after the break and continue our discussion on energy and the future.